Welcome back to the President's Forum podcast. I'm excited to introduce a new video series where we discuss important updates to the negotiated rulemaking and budget reconciliation processes. Today, we are joined by NCHAIR President Alex Ritchie. Alex has extensive experience and expertise in higher education policy and finance. We are extremely grateful to collaborate with him on these important issues. So Alex, first let's talk about negotiated rulemaking. Can you give us some insight about where we are at in the process and what the department is looking at exploring in this session?
We expect the Department of Education to really focus on two outstanding issues. The first is public service loan forgiveness. President Trump signed an executive order recently requiring the Department of Education to look at public service loan forgiveness, or PSLF, specifically qualifying employers, and find a way to exclude from that definition those employers that might be engaged in illegal activity. So we see from this negotiated rulemaking announcement some interest in having the department comply with that directive from the president. The other issue that the department would like to tackle with this negotiated rulemaking is income-driven repayment plans. Broadly speaking, there has been a lot of activity in the courts and on the regulatory side these last few years when it comes to income-driven repayment. It appears that this administration is very focused on finding a way to untangle some of that administrative bureaucracy that's been caught up in the courts and find a way to redefine family size for income contingent repayment and take a closer look at what was the SAVE plan to figure out if there needs to be a regulatory fix moving forward.
It seems like this negotiated rulemaking is going to be pretty limited in its scope then to PSLF and to income-driven repayment. So if that's the case, what are the next major steps that we can expect in this process?
Right now, the Department of Education is looking for nominees for their 9 constituencies that will comprise this rulemaking panel. They published this in the Federal Register on May 12th, and the 9 constituencies, people have time to nominate themselves or somebody else to serve as primary or alternates for those slots, and those nominations are due on or before June 2nd. At that time, the department will select the individuals that they wish to serve to comprise of this committee, and beginning June 30th through July 2nd, they will convene this group of negotiators to go through those main 2 topics and just hopefully come to consensus on what should be changed, if anything, in the regulation.
Thanks. That's good insight. And we'll be able to follow this process and see what comes of it when we get more information. And I guess we'll switch gears a little bit from negotiated rulemaking to the legislative side and budget reconciliation. Can you give us a little insight on where things currently stand in the budget reconciliation process when we're looking specifically at higher education?
When it comes to budget reconciliation, the thing to keep in mind is that there are a lot of next steps in the process before you get to a final package. At this time, here's what we know. Both the House and Senate agreed to a common set of what's called the common resolution. So now each committee, both House and Senate side, have to comply with the instructions in that initial agreement. The House, in late April, marked up their legislation to comply with their $330 billion in savings instruction that they got out of that resolution. The Senate Help Committee, the Senate equivalent from the House Education Committee, they have yet to act on their instruction. Their instruction, though, was $1 billion in savings. So $330 billion on the House side, $1 billion on the Senate side. There is a huge difference between $330 and $1 billion. And so we expect, although we haven't seen yet, we expect the Senate to adopt a different set of policies to comply with that instruction than the House did. In terms of next steps, the House is still in the process of going through all of the committees that have instructions. Once those committees successfully report out legislation to comply with those instructions, the Budget Committee packages it into one bill, will vote on it, send it to the full House for consideration. The Senate has their own process, which they are lagging behind the House in terms of advancement. And once both chambers successfully pass through each chamber their set of instructions, then there's an agreement or a conference between the two to work through the various differences. So we have a long way to go. Although there's many steps in that process, it appears that leadership in both House and Senate are interested in moving quickly and trying to get something done before the August recess.
Yeah, it sounds like we've got a long path ahead of us, and the President's Forum and NCHAR will be able to work together to keep our listeners and our constituencies updated on everything, both negotiated rulemaking and budget reconciliation. So, Alex, thanks for joining us today. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll continue to work together to create these updates.
Thanks so much for the conversation. I'm looking forward to keeping you all updated with the latest, and we'll see you next time.